Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
People are really loving these songs and these videos you guys have done, and what a great rock and roll feel you both bring to this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You know, it's not what I expected, you know, obviously knowing both of your work. And I got to ask you, you know, Shooter, it's like, you know, how did the bond form with you guys years later in 2008 when you decided, yeah, we need to get together and do some music together?
Yeah, we just, I became really good friends and family with Struggle Jennings, William Harness, and which is Shooter's, basically his brother, it's his nephew. And they grew up together, and Struggle ended up reintroducing me to Shooter about 10 or 11 years ago. And yeah, we just hit it off immediately, you know, and started talking about doing some music. So sometime later, here we are.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think we both liked each other's style, and we liked each other as friends. You know, like my nephew Struggle, he's talking about, like, he's a year younger than me. We grew up watching Z17 with the B and everything back in the day, you know. So I saw this ad was coming, or this interview's coming. I was like, oh, we're gonna be on Z17. But yeah, no, man. Like, he introduced us. He knew we were gonna get along, and he really wanted to make that introduction. And I think we both, you know, my dad in his book talked about Willie, and he said that the thing about him and Willie was they came from different kind of walks of music, but they really liked each other's styles, and they knew that they were going to work really well together. And I felt like that's kind of the same thing here, man. You know, we just instantly knew we were going to be good friends because we had a mutual respect for each other, and we both loved crazy art, you know.
It makes a lot of sense when you look at your background, how well you guys get along, but also with the music, it's so rocking. Like Jump Out the Window, you know, it's like, and radio both. I love it how with the radio video, you guys shot that on the Las Vegas Strip. You're telling a story throughout, but the music is really, it's got a tinge of retro, but also it's very now and cutting edge with what you guys created.
Thanks, man. That's how we feel about it too. We felt like it was something fresh when we left the studio. I felt like we had something really unique. We were done with it 2 years ago. So we've been sitting on it, like, and we just have, no one's heard it. And me and Yelawolf would just call each other every month or so and be like, man, how good is it? It's still pretty good, right? I mean, it sounds crazy because neither one of us are that type of person to be that way about something we made. Usually when I make something, I never want to hear it again, but this thing it felt like something really special, you know?
And once again, listening to the songs and the album, I kind of expected Yelawolf to do, you know, more of the typical rap stuff and everything. But instead, I'm hearing him sing and just amazing vocals on these tracks. Shooter, while you're playing, you know, synth, piano, and acoustic guitar, Yelawolf, your voice is just sounding amazing all over these tracks.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Well, you know, that Shooter and the band gave me a real solid platform. You know, like, it gave me a foundation. I had to step up. So I challenged myself and just really pushed myself to meet them halfway to make a great record. You know, I've played with singing over the years, you know, with singing hooks, and, you know, the first record that was out in the world is before I ever recorded a solo project. I covered The Flock of Seagulls for Slim Thug, and it was a hit record for him. And so I was known as the classic rock. I also did Subterranean Blues, Bob Dylan cover for Jules Santana. And so for a while I was the rock hook guy for hip hop. Yeah. Before I ended up, you know, taking on a solo career. So yeah, it felt nice to spread my wings and just have the right musical foundation to put some light on that side of my art.
You guys have a lot of similarities, so you can see why the friendship works so well to pull off sometimes why.
It's kind of like having an athlete as a father, you know, or a mother, and you're kind of trained and you become well versed just vicariously because you you're just around it. I mean, when you're a kid, of course you take everything for granted. Nothing really matters. You know, you're like, oh, who is that? Who cares? Give me my G.I. Joes, you know? You don't appreciate it until you're older. And even my children are actually, it's the same. I'm watching the same thing happen with them. I was like, one day you're going to really look back and realize you were on stage with EPMD, you know, like, you know what I mean? You know, that Marilyn Manson took his hat off his head and put it on my kid's head, you know, side stage, you know, like, you know, just moments where it's not clear to them what's happening. And I Shooter and I went through a lot of similar situations like that, where when we become adults, though, those subconscious teachings, I guess, or, you know, the music that was flooded, or the stage presence, or the touring, the buses, just the whole lifestyle of it. It just, it works out, you know. We were like in training and didn't realize it.
Yeah. You know, we grew up with parents, the tail end of the 70s, born into the 80s, watched the rise of hip hop and grunge and all of that. And to now, you know, we all grew up on MTV and all the different genres and all the types of music from movies and all of that. Like, it all is influential. And I think I certainly have always struggled with like where I belong in all of that, because I like it all and I always want to experiment with it. And there's so many rules, you know? So for sure, like when we went in to do this, like there wasn't you know, wasn't planned ahead that we were going to do this and do that and not do this and not have rules. Like, we just kind of went in and did what we wanted to do, but it turned out to be very broad and kind of encapsulating a lot of different styles of music. But again, that's kind of the records we've always made. You know, this is just when we came together, we were able to like really just do whatever we wanted and not really worry about what people were going to categorize it as. But it became very clear it was a rock and roll record to some degree. You know, in one way it's like very broad, but in another way it's very much a rock and roll record.
But also, you know, being able to hear you guys' influences in this, and obviously the great band that you both brought in, you know, to fill in the parts on this, and you recorded it all in LA, right?
Yeah, Sunset Sound.
Wow.
John Schreffler and Jamie Douglas and Ted Russell Camp, a little bit of Aubrey Richmond in there, but we had, that was the core band, the three guys, and we just kind of made it all up in like 10 days. We did like 20 tracks and like 10 of them lived, and we finished them out.
Being a fan of rock and roll and vinyl, it's like this album is, you know, sometimes why is going to have to go to vinyl, right?
Yeah, we already have vinyl, but it's like sold out already, so we're going to get more.
The audience seems hungry for the music you guys are rolling out, as we mentioned with the YouTube channel and the videos. It's like you guys are creating little movies and little documentaries with these songs.
Yeah, we're pretty maniacal, or I'm pretty maniacal with how to, you know, release a project. I relish in it. I love the whole process of, you know, the artwork and the merch and the packaging of the album and how the videos are going to roll out. And, you know, we had the cover for the record before we even had a song recorded.
Wow.
Or at least we had the logo. And then, you know, I start to visualize how I write visually. It's just how I write music. As I'm writing, I'm usually watching the video in my mind as I'm writing it. And I will say that I'm extremely proud of the fans that have, you know, latched on to the record, because, you know, 500,000 sometimes Y fans are, you know, way more powerful than maybe the next artist, 1 million, who are not latched on. You know, right. I don't think this is a passive record at all. I think, you know, we're planning on doing more records in the future, and of course touring, and, you know, we're already planning on recording the second album as we speak. So
Shooter Jennings, Yelawolf, thank you so much for chatting with us about your brand new album out, Sometimes Why. I want to make sure our viewers go to your website and your social media also, so they can see you live. Hopefully, Shooter, there's going to be more vinyl coming out, since you already sold out.
Yeah, for sure. We're working on it. You know, we didn't expect it to move as fast as it did. So we're going to get some more out here soon.
And there's going to be another single and another video coming out. And like I said, Yelawolf, I watched them on your YouTube site, and just powerful videos to go with incredible songs. I want to thank you both, Yelawolf and Shooter of Sometimes Why, for coming on the Rock Interview today.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.